So you want to make your reverb sound spacey and clear? Don't worry, I got you. We're going to use a special method that I haven't been able to stop utilizing, which is 2 reverbs on my vocal bus. So the idea here is to make one wide and one small sounding reverb, and when you blend these two together in the mix, it creates a more spacious and defined simulation of an actual room. Let me show you how this sounds.
Yeah, the night's gotten colder, we're approaching the fall. I slowly got a little bored and I don't test by the car. I'm to the point of questioning the essence of my own nature. That's why it's nice to sit and write about your life on the paper. Ever feel like you're a candy that's been drained of its flavor? That's how I felt when working shifts and little tips as a waiter. Now I struggle searching endlessly for constant relief. And all these bad habits, I wish I could shove them beneath.
So as you just heard, the reverb is very present. It makes every word that I say stand out a little bit more versus just using one. Now, there's nothing wrong with just using one, but in my personal opinion, whenever I only use one reverb on the bus, I was never able to get that depth that I really needed from my reverb. So using 2 was definitely the way to go for me specifically, and it will be for you too if you're looking for a nice, deep, spacious sounding reverb. So this is my vocal bus right here. Let me show you how I have both of these reverbs set up. So this is the first reverb right here. This is my wider sounding reverb. Now, how this specific reverb is set up, this is Neoverb from Isotope. You have a bunch of different settings, so you can have the full control over each specific part of your reverb, which is pretty cool. You have pre-EQ right here. You have your reverb EQ over here, your reflections, your room, your hall. You can actually change these settings right here from plate to chamber. But in this specific case, I wanted to choose a room and hall because these are the widest and longest sounding reverbs as far as like a simulation to a room. So for this specific reverb right here, I went ahead and I turned up the space on my hall a decent amount, and I turned up the space on my room a decent amount as well, and then I did the same thing on the reflection. So I have a lot of this right here. I have a lot of all of these 3. What I did over here, what you can do right here in this little section is blend between the types of reverbs you have over here. So in this case, I really just wanted the room and hall to be very present. So in order to make up for like the lack of reflections I had to turn up my reflections even higher than what I normally would over here. That's why it's like almost maxed out right here. I had to kind of compensate for whatever I'm losing by dragging this little knob right here all the way down. And I got it to sound really wide, really spacious on this one. It's really cool. Another thing I did, turned the wet all the way up to 100%. Always supposed to do that. And for my reverb EQ down here, I did a few special little things. First off, I took out the low end with a nice high pass filter on the reverb. And then on the high end, I actually just took it out by a very little bit. And I would normally do a low pass filter, but whenever you use a low pass filter on the high end, it kind of sounds like you're taking a bit too much away from the high end, and your reverb can't really shine through the mix like how it's supposed to. So that's why I suggest just taking out a little bit of the high end. And the last thing I like to do on all of my reverbs is actually give this little low mid frequency range right here just a tiny little boost. And the reason why we're going to do this is to give the reverb added layer of depth. And when you kind of add these low frequencies in, these low mid frequencies in there, it gives you that depth that you really need by adding a little bit of gain, and it kind of makes your reverb sound a lot bigger and fuller than what it actually is. It's very cool. I actually use that on all of my reverbs, and I just turn them down in the mix. Let me show you what I did for my smaller sounding reverb. So here we go. Over here, this is my smaller sounding reverb. Everything looks a bit different. So as I told you earlier, you can definitely change between the types of modes you want for each specific setting over here. So in this case, I wanted to do chamber, and on my hall I wanted to do my chamber as well. And the main reason why I wanted to do chamber on both of these was so I could, since I'm going for a smaller sounding reverb, I wanted the actual reverb to simulate a more smaller compact sound to really complement that really wide sound that I have on the bigger ones. So that's why I thought chamber would be the best way to implement this method. And I have my space turned up a decent amount, as well as my chamber turned up a decent amount, and I have my reflections turned up almost halfway. But here's the thing that I did on this one. Instead of dragging this knob right here all the way down, this blends between my different reverbs over here. Instead of having this knob all the way down like how I did on the wider one, I have it in the middle, so I have a more balanced sound. There's not too much of anything going on around here. It's mainly just closer to all of these being to close to like a 100% as far as like what you can perceive, if that makes sense. But another thing that I did on this one, I came down here to the reverb EQ and I boosted this by 8.2 decibels of gain, which is an absolute lot. That is a whole lot. But here's the thing. So for the bigger sounding reverb, I have this one turned up 18% in the mix, but for that one I just showed you, I had this one turned down 11% in the mix. So me adding that 8.6 decibels of gain to the low end area right there, it's still giving that specific reverb that depth that I need from it. But if I had it turned up anywhere close to as loud as the wider reverb, it would kind of overpower the vocals a little bit and it would be too much reverb. So that's why I had to come and turn this all the way down. Well, not all the way down, but to 11%, a lot lower than what the wider reverb is, and create that really nice balanced sound. And when you find ways to kind of like play around with the mix levels on both of these reverbs and get everything to sound balanced just like how you need it, makes everything sound a whole lot better. So let me just show you how everything sounds again, so you can really hear what I did. And by the way, if you're worried about using this specific type of reverb, being worried that you can only get these sounds out of using iZotope's reverb, that is totally false. There's definitely different ways that you can implement even stock reverbs to get similar sounds to what I just got right here. All it normally is just EQ and normally a little bit of decay. It's really just width. Width is one of the main parts. Make sure you get the width down pat, and make sure you get the size of your simulated room down pat. And I just set size of simulated room to give you a representation of what reverb is and what you should actually be listening for out of your reverb. So mainly just listen for the width and the distance of your reverb. So let me come over here. I'm gonna play everything for you again. Really just listen to how deep the reverb sounds and how spacious it sounds. I'm gonna turn one of these reverbs off so you can hear how the other sounds, and I'm gonna just pretty much alternate between both of those so you can kind of get an idea of how these both sound on their own and how they come together and make something beautiful.
Yeah, the nights gotten colder, we're approaching the fall. I slowly got a little butter, now I'm test by the car.
That was a smaller one. Let's go to the wider one.
Yeah, the nights gotten colder, we're approaching the fall. I slowly got a little butter, now I'm test by the car. I'm to the point in questioning the essence of my own nature, that's why it's not.
Now actually, let me turn up the smaller one by like a lot so you can really hear what's going on.
Yeah, the nights gotten colder, we're approaching the fall. I slowly got a little butter, now I'm test by the car. I'm to the point in questioning the essence of my own nature, that's why it's nice to sit and write about your life on the paper. Ever feel like you're a candy that's been...
Let me do the same with the wider sounding reverb.
Yeah, the nights got colder, we're approaching the fall. I slowly got a little butter, now I'm test by the car. I'm to the point in questioning the essence of my own nature, that's why it's nice to sit and write about your life on the paper. Ever feel like you're a candy that's been drained of its flavor, that's how I...
But alright everyone, if you're a beginner looking to learn how to mix your vocals with stock plugins inside FL Studio and get the best possible sound you can out of it, click the link in my description and I can guarantee it will 5 times the speed in which you progress. Hope you got a lot of value out of this video everyone. I'll catch you on the next one.